Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We are continuing our chapter 4 of this book on holistic human behavior and loss of learning. Okay, if we go to chapter 4, and I have given you a few videos before that, today we're going to talk about the nature of consciousness and inner speech. So we would go to this section and I'll read, and then I'll give you some explanation of what Professor John Jenkins atau Muhammad Mahdi Jenkins have spoken about the nature of inner speech and how we are going to understand this vis-a-vis our nature of consciousness. Okay, so inner speech means the internal communication with our own consciousness. This includes thoughts, but it's much more comprehensive than that. It includes not only thoughts but feelings. Inner speech is all communication that originates within the mind. We are not yet aware of the full range of communications. Some of the communication within the mind takes place beyond the perception of ordinary waking consciousness. Future research needs to be done to understand the communication at the level of the spiritual, emotional, mental domains, which we have elaborated in the book. Alright? So what we need to do about nature of consciousness and inner speech, let's recap the second principle of our human self, which is mentioned in this book. The second principle is the holistic nature of our human self, which consists of the four realms or domain, namely the spiritual, the roh, emotional, heart or qalb, mental mind, al-akal, and the physical body, jasad. All these four domains constitute our real self, nafs, as we exist in this physical world. So how is this inner speech interface in terms of our modern research? Modern research in neurology points to the importance of the limbic system and all the brainstem in processing human consciousness. All the neural and dendrite connection of both the left and right brain are connected into the limbic system and the brainstem, which is the center of all the hub of all our brain function, both conscious and unconscious. We can see that the limbic system, the brain stem of the brain, help to coordinate and process all our conscious and unconscious inner speech at the physical level. So as we have better understanding of the quantum nature of this universe, we'll begin to understand the existence of the realm that is beyond our five physical faculties. Our understanding of the quantum mechanics is already transforming our notion of relationship. Things and events one conceive as separated, parted in both time and space are seen by quantum theories as so integrally linked that their bond mock the reality of both time and space. They behave instead as a multiple aspect of some larger whole, deriving both definition and their meaning from that whole. This is written by Dana Zohar in 1990. And in this quantum experiment, they have this non-local influence, which you can study in quantum mechanics, and it is when two subatomic particles are made to be linked together, they can be separated even across the universe and still they behave exactly the same. Alright, so it is beyond space, beyond time, and that is now many experiments has proven that. Okay, so in Islam, because we are created with the spiritual, emotional, mental and physical domain, we are multi-sensory beings, being capable of perception beyond the physical visible realm. Our intention, behaviors and action are all at all levels affect us in all realms of existence. So we are affecting all realms of existence. We are not affecting only the physical realm, we are affecting the spiritual realm also. Imprinted within our nature are deeper questions of our existence, such as, is there a purpose in life? Does God exist? Is there life after death? As well as other critical questions. In Islam, we are created as a vicegerent of God on earth, Khalifatullah fil ard, to experience and fulfill our life in answering the above perennial questions. By understanding nature of our existence, we can shape our spiritual, emotional, mental and physical self towards becoming loving, compassionate and wise human beings, in directing our inner speech in a positive way. By aligning our holistic inner speech, we will be able to understand the subtle inner feelings and intuition beyond our five senses. When we align our inner speech from the negative aspects of anger, fear, hatred, vengeance, frustration, cynicism and so on, we can cultivate our holistic personality to become more loving and compassionate. in Islam, this is the journey of life of every human being towards achieving perfection of their own existence, al-insanul kamil. We'll elaborate the full spectrum of this new knowledge of positive Islamic psychology model in the coming chapters. So, when we talk about the nature of consciousness and levels of consciousness, we can understand that if I take this chart, this to being levels, and this is the time space, the technology that we have now is growing at exponential rate. That means we have technology growing at this rate. This is technology. We have this technology growing at exponential rate. But if our nature of human consciousness do not follow, then we have a problem. But we have right now, our consciousness is degrading. Alright, so this is consciousness. Our consciousness is degrading. So, if that is the case, then we will have a problem, universal problem of destructive way of life, attitude, and manners, which affects our behavior. So our behavior now is not holistic. Our behavior now is singularly driven by consumption and physical pleasures alone. So because we have the consciousness, our realm of consciousness, we have our S, E, M, and P, our spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical self. We are just focusing on this physical aspect only. So we are degrading. As we degrade, we will degrade the earth. And this is the problem that we are facing in the 21st century. Because as technology goes up, and as human being, the behavior of human being goes down, we will have a self-destructive mode of this 21st and 22nd century, which will then be terrible. Alright, so we are facing so many of this existential question of our existence on this earth. So we have to have this consciousness that we are all together, we all linked together. This universal understanding is the idea of Islam as the last revealed religion. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala imbue upon us and reveal upon us to our holy prophet, our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we are created to be his Khalifa on this earth, the custodian on this earth, to make this earth beautiful, nice, and peaceful, and just. That is our whole purpose, and the whole metaphysics of Islam revolves around that. And this whole idea is mentioned in the Quran many times over. So we have a universal principle of consciousness for all. Alright? And that is the beauty about Islam. So right now, if we talk about the consciousness of Muslims, we are even worse. Okay, this is maybe the society. We have this society now. Alright? Say Western society. But if we take the Muslims, we have even a worse problem, because we are talking about killing each other. We are talking about wars. We are talking about hate. We are talking about so many things. So we have to transcend that. And the way to transcend that is we bring a new idea. This is what we call PIP, Positive Islamic Psychology, a new idea that try to bring the ummah from, for example, hate to love. So we have love. We try to bring the ummah. We have the idea of gratitude. Okay, try gratitude and so on. Peace, happiness, justice, and so on. So this whole idea of this holistic behavior, principles of holistic behavior in chapter 4, is to bring back our understanding that we are answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as his Khalifa on this earth, and we are to bring this universal consciousness within the ummah and for all humanity, because we all linked together. We are, whether we are Muslim, non-Muslim, whether you are in America, whether you're in China, whether you're in Malaysia, we all linked together. We also linked to all the creatures on this earth. We also linked to all the spiritual realm that Allah has created for us. So we must have a higher understanding of the nature of consciousness, so that as technology increases, we have this idea of a peaceful, wonderful, just nature of existence. The consciousness of every Muslim is not hate, not war, not killing, not murder, not becoming takfir or doing evil things, but in consciousness, every Muslim is this beautiful consciousness of being the Caliph of Allah, being connected to every human being, forgiving every human being, loving every creatures on this earth, striving to bring ourselves to a higher consciousness. This is the higher consciousness we are talking about, all right? And this is the understanding that this journey of bringing this idea that we have to change the world, we have to change the ummah, and to change the ummah, we must bring a new mindset, a new inner speech, an inner speech that is not of hate, an inner speech that is not of revenge, but an inner speech of peace, of forgiveness, of gratitude, of love, of mercy, of compassion, which is all in the Quran. And this is the behavior of our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the beloved of Allah, and he brought this model, beautiful model for us, because he's a Rahmatul Alameen. So what is important is for us to understand that as technology comes up, now we are be able to connect with one another through Skype, YouTube, now my video on YouTube, WhatsApp and so on. We will go more and more. But if we have this evil people who try to separate human beings, for example, in Europe now they have this movement, the far-right movement of trying to make sure that no Muslims come to Europe, or if you are already in Europe, make life for Muslims very, very difficult. We must forgive them. They are frightened, they are afraid. But as we go through time and space, in terms of the science and technology, we bring a new understanding among the Muslims first, of a new consciousness that is all embracing. That was the message of Islam when it came 14 centuries ago. That was a message that Allah revealed as this final revelation to all humanity, not only for Muslims. So the onus is on us to spread this truth that is ordained within the revelation of Islam, within the Sunnah of the Prophet, and within the way of life that we have been practicing for many centuries. Muslims are very open-minded, very well receiving people of any race, any color, and we are always living in a loving, caring society. So we have to recreate that. Unfortunately, now we are here. So, inshallah, with this little understanding of inner speech, we want to change our consciousness, because you cannot change the consciousness, your consciousness first. You must change it through your transformation of your inner speech to be a positive inner speech, which I have given many examples in the previous videos. You can go run through how to transform our inner speech, and from then we can then embrace this idea of holistic human behavior, all right? And then from there we apply the laws of learning in terms of positive Islamic psychology, and we would then transform the ummah, inshallah, towards our new greater heights of peace, of happiness, of success, and becoming the forerunner towards the development of a new civilization in the 21st and 22nd century, inshallah.